Coming to you from Music City, Nashville, Tennessee, this is the Quinn Spinn. Hey now, and welcome once again, ladies, gentlemen, boys, and girls, one and all, to a brand new edition of... I had at least 3 or 4 more seconds of air. The Quinn Spinn. I'm your host, The Quinn. I'm back here on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Anchor, Stitcher, YouTube, and more for another rousing and riveting installment of the official podcast of Underground Music Collective. And I almost botched the intro, but we don't do any do-overs here at The Quinn Spinn. We're a real podcast, damn it, and we're going to keep going. Anyway, you just heard Revel 9's All I've Become. That's our opening theme song, and it's been since the great year 2014. Will be until the very end of days. And I have the honor and privilege of being joined by a very exciting brother-sister duo from all the way in Australia, now based in Nashville. I have Fyre Byrd joining me. This has been a long time coming. I'm so excited. We already had like a good 20-minute pre-show where we ranted about the post office and other things about, you know, just our general daily lives. But I'm excited to rant more, but also get to know y'all as artists and people. So thanks so much for coming on.
Thank you for having us.
Absolutely.
Whoa.
That
was in stereo.
That was like horror movie level. Like, whoa. Thank you for having us. Like,
yeah.
Please have us back later.
So that leads us into the 3 standard questions. The first one being, who are you? Which you already answered. The twins
from The Shining.
What are your passions, and why on earth would you want to come on the Quinn Spinn? So take it individually. Whoever wants to go first.
You can take it away.
All right. Well, we're Fyre Byrd. I'm Sam Trey, and this is my sister Breeze.
Hi.
That's who we are, I guess. What was the second question?
What are your passions?
Passions.
Our passions are, I guess, obviously music, since we're in a band. Makes sense.
You like making pasta?
Our non-music, I was going to go there. Our non-musical passions are like cooking and writing, not music.
Painting.
And
that's a really hard question.
Talking a lot. I think one of our passions is definitely
taking up all the attention in the room.
Taking up the attention and the breathing space. Yeah. With our words that maybe they're helpful to people and most likely they're not. But that's fine. At least we have the self-awareness.
It's also honestly not by choice too. We grew up in a big family, so it's like you had to like get in there. You just had to lock eyes with someone and say what you need to say.
Yeah. And we're all Italian, at least partially here.
Yes.
So like
that was another thing. Who are we? We're Italian.
Yeah.
So we're Italian,
Australian, American.
In America.
And Hungarian. There's a lot.
Yeah.
A lot going on.
Yeah. But anybody who knows about Italians is we talk a lot and we talk with our hands a lot. I talk with my hands a lot. I'm only 25%.
Really?
I'm 50% Irish. And then there's like some English in there, some Austrian, like I think like an eighth each of those, and then 25% Italian. Enough to change my last name, my real one.
Ooh.
But yeah. So
whoa. Secrets.
Whoa.
Secrets revealed. But we're not here to divulge my secrets.
Quinn Spinn exposed.
Quinn Spinn.
That's the answer to the last question. That's why we're here, to figure
expose
out
your secrets.
Who really you are and expose your secrets.
Who are you really?
The tables have turned.
Yes.
I'm here to find out who you are. Little did I know.
We're exposing you.
Well, this is all right. This has been a great run, everyone. I'm gonna just.
We're just gonna do the 23 minutes pre-show.
Yep. You'll get that, and I'm gonna be on a jet to Mexico, and you'll never see me again.
I love it.
Well, thank you for coming on.
No, thank you for having us.
Absolutely.
It's awesome.
Yeah. So we're going to get into a lot of stuff, as you can all tell, as I'm sure we're all aware here on stage, but we're going to start from the beginning of your journeys as far back as you want to go, you know? So the people, places, experiences, of course, musical influences, artistic influences that have led you toward your creative path.
Well, I guess like we've always been playing music from childhood.
Yeah, you started playing
I started playing the drums because of Animal from the Muppets. And that's actually a very common...
It is.
It is very common.
Yeah.
And then I wanted someone to sort of play with because I was just by myself. So I got him to get involved. And we also have another sister. She would get involved. So we would all just kind of like jam to our favorite songs.
Yeah.
And it just kind of went from there. We actually ended up like touring around a lot. Like we were playing like schools.
We accidentally started a family band.
Yes, accidentally. And we like had a lot of fun with it. I think that's probably why our parents were like, you guys are having a lot of fun, you're bonding, you're not like fighting all the time, I guess. So
yeah, you're directing that energy, somewhere.
So we did that for like majority of our like childhood, until we all sort of finished high school and our sister wanted to do law. So then we were like left being like, well, we don't.
What do we do?
Yeah, what do we do?
We don't want to be lawyers.
Yeah.
We don't want to get real jobs.
Yeah, right. So we're like, well, we could just continue. So Fyre Byrd is kind of like a probably 5-year sort of project.
Yeah.
I guess influences is like we kind of grew up listening to a lot of those like Disney bands. So
a good mix of like Disney bands and just like you had like a lot of EDM
and hip hop
CDs.
Mm-hmm.
What are they?
CDs and
I need to say Disney bands was not what I was expecting.
Really?
Yeah.
No.
Well, that's because we're young. So
man, the first album I ever bought was like the Jonas Brothers.
Yeah.
They were my favorite band.
But I think that was like the introduction to that kind of music because you would watch the shows and they were all in bands, and I think maybe the industry caught on as like, well, if we sell albums, like it's just kind of
one thing promotes the next.
Yeah. So then a lot of that, and then whatever our parents would listen to. Like Dad's really into like
he loves like Gary Moore and Van Morrison, and he loves Elvis. I think
he loves Elvis.
Like every good Italian, that's his number one musical love.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then we kind of ventured into our sort of own sort of listening. Like, so at the moment we really love like Run the Jewels. And, we've always loved Muse. Foo Fighters we've always loved as well.
Yeah.
It's kind of like a mixture of stuff.
Yeah.
I'm honestly terrible at remembering things that I like, particularly music. Like I won't even remember like the song or the art. It's really bad and I don't know why. But he remembers it all.
Right.
Yeah.
So,
I think one of my favorite artists has been for a while is Duckworth.
Yeah, he's cool.
Really cool. I like that guy a lot. And then I was gonna, I like really like Skrillex.
Yeah.
And everyone else who's doing that kind of thing too.
Right.
Like the trap and
Elenium is really cool, and Noisia are awesome as well.
Yeah.
And that's all just like EDM stuff, and they just are crazy with noises. It's amazing.
Yeah.
And so many elements of that too can be meshed with other genres.
Yeah.
I remember you mentioned Skrillex. I remember when they did that song with Korn. When was that? 2011, I want to say, a long time ago. But it was like the perfect marriage of like those two styles.
Yeah.
Because you had that like new metal, like post grunge thing almost going on, but then you had this like dubstep like drop coming in, and it was so intense. I always called that song, I think it was Get Up, Korn on steroids. Korn on steroids, because it was like everything, like it was everything you would love about Korn, but like turned up even further with Skrillex's influence, and that's the amazing thing is I think as music has gone on, like you've seen this marriage of styles, like because who wants to create the same thing over and over again? It's all about experimenting and pushing those limits.
I'm kidding.
Everybody.
Secretly,
everybody wants to do that, but continue, please.
I was just making a joke.
Well, like I feel like the artists who endure are the ones who do push themselves, and they don't go back and just try to create, big hit single version 2.0. They try to push the envelope, and over time they build this following that resonates with them over any particular sound. And what I find so interesting about your artist project is the way you're able to marry all these things, all these different sounds, the visual component to it, and really I think stand out and have a unique place certainly in this Nashville marketplace right now, where I don't think there's anybody else doing quite what you're doing as far as like bringing all these different elements together and really making them your own. And that's what I'm really excited about.
Cool. Thank you.
Cool, thanks.
Absolutely.
Awesome.
But it wasn't an easy road to get here now, was it?
No.
No.
Going there.
No, you came from Australia to the United States in the middle of the pandemic.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, we've talked about this experience, amongst ourselves, but like, obviously, the challenges of being anywhere during COVID, especially as an artist, are what they are, but to move countries, to move somewhere where you don't know anybody, where you don't have anything established and you have to go try to establish it in the middle of a pandemic, coming from somewhere else. Take us through that journey. Take us through that journey and what you experienced and how you overcame those challenges over time.
There's a lot of crying and frustration, I think.
Yeah.
And like trying to work your way around websites of like, are we allowed to do this or what? Like, what are the rules? Like, first of all, how do we get out of our country?
Right.
They closed the borders. We figured that out.
Yeah.
Not like in a cheat the system way, but we figured out that there were like
you were allowed.
There were things that you were allowed to do. They had like special like reasons for things. So we like
they
pretty much
called them like exemptions or something.
Yeah, we had to get like our government to like approve us leaving, and we had to show certain things of like we were going to be going for more than 3 months, and like we were going for XYZ reasons, and then we had to sign a form that said like, if we get stuck somewhere, it's not our government's fault. And we were like,
yeah, they won't come get us.
Yeah.
So if like suddenly America was
anything so quickly,
like a hotspot or something, and
yeah,
Australia were like, no one from America can come in, and there's like Australians, you know, that can come home, they wouldn't let you, and
they're
so
like
we're basically saying that's fine.
Anything.
Yeah, a lot of countries wouldn't let us in because of especially the spread. I think in Middle America, the South, you know, where it was really a lot more unchecked.
Yeah. And I feel like no one really wants to talk about COVID at all. And the impact, I feel like now, because everything's a little bit more lenient, we're all just kind of like, okay, let's go on. Like nothing happened kind of mentality. It's a bit like worrying, but
it's amazing how like normal everything is again. You know, all of it, like it does in a lot of ways. Like you go down to Broadway on a weekend. And it's like, not that Broadway was ever really that locked down to begin with, because it wasn't, but like it's especially now, like nothing ever happened. Like, you know, you take for granted, I think, you know, being in a room with so many people even, and like you almost forget sometimes. I know I do. Like 3 years ago, just about like this wasn't possible. This was frowned upon. Like if people found out you were doing this, you were getting blasted online, like all this stuff. And it's amazing, like that all of that happened, but now that it just feels like a fever dream. Like it didn't, you know, like it's mind blowing. My question though is like, so what made that the time that you decided to leave Australia and come here? Because obviously not the easiest, no matter what. I mean, you're moving across the world, you know, and it's going to be an adjustment, but why did you decide on during the pandemic?
It's kind of funny. It wasn't necessarily something we decided. It was kind of like, apparently it was the easiest time for us to get here because we tried at least a couple of trips to come here before, like since
2017,
Fyre Byrd even, and we tried to like organize stuff, and then nothing was like coming through for us. And apparently God said COVID's the time. And that's how it worked, and it was crazy. It was like, it was kind of funny. We laughed about it the entire time of just like, apparently this is the best time for us to do this thing.
And I'm not sure why, but I think maybe also part of the reason was it's like Australia was like so shut down as well, where at that time you weren't really sure what it was going to look like in the future, because everyone was so like day by day sort of mentality, and
that's
waiting for the vaccine to kind of come, and then even once the saving vaccine came, like what was it really going to look like after that? And the confusion as well of like, you would see how other parts of the world were still open and people were still out doing, you know, just normal things like going shopping without getting, you know, going through checkpoints. Like, and then you're kind of in a city where you're somewhat locked down, but not as harsh as other places where they like couldn't leave their apartment. And they've got signs saying someone dropped off food, like we're running out of food. I think it was just a very confusing time that no one could really put their finger on what's it really going to look like.
Nobody knew what to do. Everybody was just trying things to see if they worked, I think.
And I think part of the reason why we always wanted to come here is like, even if it is shut down, you still got stuff to do. Whereas Australia, like the two big states that are, you know, the forefront of music, were kind of shut down. So it's like it had the harshest. So you were just sort of left to, are we just an online band now? Like, do we just do online content? But we like the live feel. We like having, you know, people you can look at, you know, where, you know, I think every artist is sort of different. Some artists, like, they thrive in just the content world and I feel like we're a little hybrid, but you do enjoy like the live experience,
interacting with people.
Yeah,
in real time, having that energy in the room. We did a lot of live streams in here, during the pandemic, and like it was cool, and we were glad we got to do it. The artists were grateful for it, but like there was always that something missing. And it's like when you're reading a comment box, it's not the same as having that interaction right in front of you, talking to people after the set at the merch table, like being able to interact in real time, And I remember there were so many people thinking like, are things ever going to go back to normal? Are we ever going to get live music back? It might never happen. Like I always kind of knew that it would come back, but like none of us knew what it was going to take, how many years it was going to be.
If anything was going to be open, because they all go broke.
Like if the venues were going to exist, like if there was going to be anywhere for it to happen, and what that was going to look like. Even like how soon people would be willing to go out and support it, right? Because like we saw in 2021, even when things really started opening back up, people, especially with that spike toward the end of the year, the COVID spike, like people got really hesitant to go out again.
Yeah.
And it's just one of those things now that I think we're just living with, it has its seasonal spikes now, like in the winter, we're hearing a lot now about COVID going around. RSV is a thing, the flu, of course, has been around forever. So it's one of those things that I guess we have to live with and, kind of move forward knowing that it's always there, different strains of it and whatnot. I want to get a little more insight on the adjustment period after you got here. So you come over, and again, middle of the pandemic, we're going through all these things we're talking about. What was that like for you personally to be in a new place and to really know nobody except each other, to start and have to find your way through?
Yeah. It felt like constantly walking through mud, but also it was exciting. Yeah. So it was like really different to how we had been living. So in Australia, you'd always have to wear a mask. You're being like constantly reminded about COVID. Like every venue would be like, wear a mask, or we would have to like QR code. Like it wasn't mandatory, but most people would. And so then coming here, it was just like no masks, no signs. Everything felt very different. And it was just kind of learning the differences in our cultures, even though we're both like English speaking, we all got like fast food. Like we were just very Western. Yeah. But just learning sort of the small differences.
Which we're still learning.
Oh,
of course, yeah.
And I think it was just more so like, no, there's a reason why we're here, so we're just going to stay on that and try and block out everything else the best that we can.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just kind of like we kind of came in with that excitement, and it probably lasted like 3 weeks, and then it just felt like it was just like, now you're getting uppercuts to the face for the next 5 months,
right?
So that was like really hard, and it was like very testing on, I guess, like our relationship as well. And just kind of being put on like this giant holding pattern,
right?
Because there's really nothing you can do.
Because the visa we came on, we weren't allowed to make any income, and then when we were transitioning into the next visa, in that transition period, you still like, you can't be making any income, so you're there like, we can't do anything that's seen to be making income either. So it's like, can't even put a song on Spotify. It doesn't matter that you make pennies, right? It's like, it's still seen as income, so it's like, you just can't do it. You can't play shows.
You can come here and spend all the money you want.
You can spend all the money you want. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, it's very strange.
But just don't make any.
Yeah. How dare you make 2
cents?
That
was like, that was really hard. Because we also, like we planned for a certain amount of time to be able to cover it.
Yeah.
And then it
just got caught up in the system.
Like almost double the time that we prepared for. And we were just like, oh, crap. Okay.
Yeah. And during that time period too, it wasn't really an option to go back, because it was like, too much was invested here, but also the borders were still shut. So it would have just been like a whole thing. And we didn't know when they were going to open again. I think they opened like early last year.
It wasn't that long ago.
It wasn't
was one of the last countries.
Yeah. So
I think it was like right after Christmas of 2021.
And I don't think any of us, like even our immigration lawyer, like anticipated that process was going to take as long as it did. Yeah. So yeah, it was just like one of those you live, you learn. And all the lessons that kind of come in with that is like, you kind of do learn that you are a lot more resilient than you think. And yeah, I don't know. It's just kind of like,
well, it shows you what you can and are capable of pushing through.
Yeah.
You know, because when you're faced with that, when you're faced with a situation, you know, like the one you encountered, you know, coming here and then being here for a while with the whole visa, all the delays associated with that, you know, it shows you what you can get through. So the next time, because adversity is always going to come, right? There's always going to be something down the road that's going to test you.
Yeah.
Right. But you're already battle tested, you know, and you know what you can get through. You know, you've been through, you know, hopefully the worst, you know, I hope that for all of us, but you know, it's, so you're able to use that knowledge, you know, and of what you bring to the table in those kind of situations, you know, and in that sense, you know, I find that to be empowering. You know, when I've gone through a long, rough period, it's like, okay, like I got through that, and now it's time to move on this stuff, and nothing's gonna stop me. You know, it does really fortify you and what you're here to do, and all the, you know, it really brings out all the traits in you that are going to help you get to the next level.
You learn like a lot about how you sort of handle stress and situations where, you know, you have like no control in anything, literally only yourself, which you hear all the time, and it sounds nice. It could be nice on a t-shirt, like I can only control me.
Can you?
Though? Like a new hashtag motto for my year.
Control me.
I can only control me. Like, it sounds nice, but then it's like, yeah, you get put through a situation where you're not controlling anything. Like, literally, your life is in the control of other people's opinions, and it does bring out your ugliness, but also I think it also brings out the best parts of you that maybe you didn't even know you even had.
But you got to go through the ugliness to even know that those parts are there. You really got, like, you've got to do the uncomfortable digging.
You really do,
to grow.
And
you know,
just being comfortable in the uncomfortable, I think.
Taking any kind of leap is going to bring that out in you. You know, like I even think now, like 2023 me is taking things on that 2021 me would have hyperventilated in the corner over. You know what I mean? And it's because of the battles of 21 and 22 that I'm ready for 23. You know, and I feel like, again, it's just one of those things that as you go on the journey, you understand what you can withstand better. And it helps direct that compass.
It's like there's not much you could change about the situation, but there are like, how would I handle something differently to how I previously did? So you do a lot of like reflection, being like, maybe not sitting and dwelling in how bad everything was actually helping me. So maybe next time, you know, what would I do differently?
Right.
Because, you know, I can make it out at the end of the day. But yeah, it was very hard, very tough, but it's light at the end of the tunnel. Now.
Absolutely. And
you
I
just
mean,
have to like stick with it.
Since then you've been playing out. You just had a show at the Cobra a couple weeks ago with Anastasia Elliott, who's a good friend of UMC, a tremendous artist.
She's amazing.
Almost a sold out crowd over there. You know?
It was awesome.
Like it's kind of, the world has opened up. You've been able to do that, release music. Got a new single coming out that already came out. As of release date here. As of record date, it's coming out this Friday.
Second song we've released.
Our second
in a while.
Our second release in a very long time.
But yeah, it was like as soon as our visa was approved, it was pretty much like, all right, when do you want to release? And like we did have a lot of time to sort of think about it, but then, you know, you get caught up in everything. And I think we just decided, you know what, every month, like, let's just do it. Because, you know, we haven't been able to. And I think our first show here was like December 10th? And we played at the end. And that was like our first show back since the end of 2019. And
the first one in the US.
And we were like live show people, like from the beginning of our career, for when we were young to like 2019, it was just like regularly playing shows. So it was just kind of like nice to be like, oh, okay, you could still.
Yeah. Oh, we can still do this.
Still do
Cool.
it, but it was just
Great.
yeah, it was just like a really nice feeling to being like, okay, cool.
Yeah.
And we'd like improved too, which was nice.
Yeah.
That was nice to like look back on.
Yeah. Well, one thing is, you certainly had a lot of time to hone your craft.
Yeah.
You know, while you were waiting on the visa and everything.
Mhm.
Like, one thing that came out of that period, and I mean, I know because I saw you guys in Studio B right over there a lot, just like practicing and just like putting content together and just like working on the songs. You know, so how did that help you tighten everything up to now? You know, you're going out in the world and you're able to give that, that better live show, that more dynamic experience.
Yeah, I guess it was just like we kind of had to do that. Otherwise, we would have been sitting in our apartment, eating too much pasta, like and drinking too much
Coffee.
Yeah, like so it was kind of like I guess we had to, but yeah, we had the time to be able to really, like as we were just talking about, like of going deep to find the ugliness in you, to do the inner work. Is like, yeah, okay, we are doing that with like. We're doing that in our personal lives, and we're doing that like within our like band and our songwriting as well, because we just had the time to do it, and yeah, it was very fruitful.
Yeah,
like just also like Nashville, like it's music city, and I say that like this because people like to scoff when they hear music city.
I love it,
but like it is like a songwriting town, obviously, so like. You'd learn a lot just from people, like just the connections that we've made in like friendships, and even just here at home, like very beneficial, like feedback, and just like everyone is pretty open to like helping and just giving ideas, and we're open to hearing them too, which is like a nice little marriage. But yeah, we just had the time to do it, and it just paid off. At least. Yeah,
and that is the beautiful thing about Nashville. I've noticed since the beginning is like people are willing to help you on the way. If you're doing good work for the right reasons, like you're going to run into people, like attracts like, and you're going to run into people doing the same thing, and you're going to be able to elevate each other.
Yeah, that was like a weird like culture shock for us, because people were like, oh, you know, like anything you need, if you need gear, if you need to borrow this or that, like just
and we would get sus, be like, what do you want?
Up, and we're like, yeah, but like then what? Like what do we owe you? Like, what's the deal? What's the catch? And then it's like, it's no catch.
You
need it,
right?
Like people would wave at you from across the street and say hi. I'm like, what is this place? Like Australia would just like see you coming, and we're just like,
just like eyes down. Like, I can't notice you.
Similar to New York, in that regard, because I remember I used to work in New York, and I was actually looking through my Facebook memories the other day, and there was a status that came up like you could tell who the person is who's not from New York, because they're the person trying to make conversation with the people on the train. Everyone else is like. People were so salty on that commute. Like they were just like not making eye contact. If you were standing too close to them on this packed sardine can of a subway car, like they're getting mad at you. It's like, where do you want me to go? There's literally this space. Like, yeah, you're right on the roof. Surf through the subway system. Like, yeah, and then you move here because I'm from the Northeast, you know, and I'm used to that. Like, you know, everyone's kind of on their guard, you know, especially New York after 9/11. You know, I was in high school for 9/11. And like after that, like it only increased, I think, you know, the level to which everybody was on their guard. You come here and it's like, wow, your neighbors actually wave to you and like will just start conversations while they're walking the dog. Like, yeah, people don't ask you for things back for the most part. Like, you know, I mean, people are just more giving, I think. More like collaborative and like a very pay it forward kind of mindset.
And they move slower and talk slower. Have you noticed that?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
It's great.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like I've maybe
you had to adjust to that
a little. I think I'm talking slower.
You are, but I mean, like you did have to adjust to that sort of slower pace because you are a very go, let's get it done.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, especially in conversations, you don't want to interrupt people, but because they talk slower, so you just kind of like.
Yeah.
When can I come in? Because I'm not used to this speed of conversation.
You wait for the pause, then you think you have it, but then they keep talking. It's like, oh, I'm sorry, I just interrupted you.
I kind of loved it because I do talk like that.
Oh yeah,
slow pausing, stop. And I'm like, oh, it's kind of like nice. It's like different from being
My people.
just in an Italian family, like that family. And
You gotta
it's
lock
just
eyes.
like,
Yeah.
as soon as I pause to take a breath, it's like, oh, okay, the rest of my conversation doesn't matter, I guess.
Yeah.
It's fine.
New conversation.
The new one started.
Oh,
Let's
he
go.
breathed. Cool. I want to talk about this.
He breathed. That's a break. Not here.
Now it's my way in. I find myself becoming, I think, more southern the longer I live here. The one way I notice is when I first moved here, it was the end of November, and I was working security at the Opry. We were outside a lot, and everyone else is complaining about how cold it is. I'm like, yo, it's only 45 degrees. This is nothing, you know, being from up north.
That's cold.
But I go up there now. I go up north in the winter now, like I just did in December, and I am dying, and it's not even below freezing. But if I go up there in the summer, everyone's complaining about how hot it is. I'm like, it's only 88. There's a breeze. It's fine. I'm not even sweating right now. And everyone else is like ready to pass out. I'm like, you should come to Nashville for a week. They're like, no, I won't do that in August. It's like, well, just can't take the heat. But like when I first moved here, like I was like, what people thought was cold. I'm like, y'all are soft. Like what's going on now? But now I go home and I get it. Because like I'm used to these winters where today we're recording. It's almost 70 degrees outside in January, which is warm for this time of year anyway, in Nashville even. But it's like, you know, you go from this climate to up north and it's like a totally
I can't
different
imagine
ballgame.
living somewhere where it's just cold and snowing all the time.
Oh, yeah.
Longer than 2 days.
Snowing for longer than 3 days.
Like, I don't know why. Like, move. Move somewhere else. Live somewhere else.
Why am I living where the air hurts my face?
I don't know how you could like that. I don't understand.
Maybe they do.
I have a theory that nobody actually likes winter.
That's what I'm like. Post offices.
People say they do to be
Lay up.
contrarian. People say they do to be contrarian. Nobody likes winter. You're cold. You're sick all the time. It gets dark at like 2 o'clock in the afternoon.
He's from there,
I
and he
think you're
says
right.
it, so I believe
think
him.
You're right. I've watched Frozen. They didn't like the winter being there for
No
that
one
long.
likes the snow. I don't care who you are. And if you're Santa Claus yourself, you don't like the snow.
Why do you think he comes to Australia in Christmas and it's summer? He's like, that's his favorite part.
That's something I really actually love about living here is Santa Claus makes sense now. Because in Australia, they don't change like his outfit. So he's like in all like rugged up. And we have like really hot Christmases, right? So it's like your 4th of July. That's how we celebrate our Christmas. So
Sounds
it was
nice.
just always so funny to me. Like, why did they never put him in like shorts and, you know, flip flops and
Hawaiian shirt?
And why is he not holding like a barbecue, like the tongs? You know?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, right.
They never changed, but maybe they're not allowed or something.
And the Christmas songs about snowing made a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Oh, it was, Okay, I will say though, watching the snow for the first time, like that was really pretty. I understood it. I was like, I get it.
It's nice to watch, but then you just kind of hope it goes away. Like, that's what I like about living here, because if it snows, it's gone in a day or two.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah.
For the most part. But somebody mentioned Frozen, you know, that lyric, and let it go. The cold never bothered me anyway. So that's the best we can hope for the cold, is that we just tolerate it. It doesn't bother us. Nobody's, like, you never cancel anything because it's too sunny outside. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
that's true.
Yeah,
I mean,
in
you got
Australia
points.
sometimes, because it's like if it's too
hot.
sunny and too hot, they're like, this
I wouldn't go outside.
This farm might catch fire, so we can't do our show here.
No one light up their barbecues.
Yeah,
and we get offended.
We hate hearing that. Don't tell us to put our barbecues away.
What?
Oh no!
You want us to put our
That's
barbecues
disgraceful.
away?
We're
To
Australian.
say what?
That's so un-Australian to tell us to pack up the barbie. That's crazy.
There's one thing Australians love is public holidays and barbecues and summer. Actually, that's probably why we're not used to the cold, is because I think Australians act like they don't know what winter is. Like it's just summer all the time.
So it doesn't snow there.
It doesn't
It's not
snow
where
like
we
up
grew
in
up.
up in the mountains. You can go skiing and stuff, and they're like literally ski resorts. So it's like I don't know if anyone lives up there, but in all the cities, it doesn't get that cold to snow. But we just act like it's summer all the time.
Yeah.
Like there would be a guy, it would be like raining, lightning, thunder, middle of winter, floods. And he'll be in like a singlet and shorts and flip-flops.
Yeah.
Like just going to the grocery store.
Actually, there's a video.
Every time.
I think
it's
it's
so
happened
funny.
a bunch of times when there'd be like floods in Australia and some guy is just like on a boogie board. And he's just like floating through on the floods in his boardies, and he's there with a beer,
every time.
And he's on the news. He's like, "Yeah, it's flooding."
Happens every
chilling.
year. I don't know.
Australians are wild.
The wildlife is wild too, like nowhere else.
Yes.
We get asked about the spiders constantly, and I actually want to ask you: was there like a show you grew up watching about Australia?
No.
Okay.
Who told you the spiders were
Yeah,
this big?
where'd the spider thing come from?
I don't know.
I mean, it's true,
But
but who told you?
They're not all like,
No,
the
we have
size
to
of...
keep it up. It's true.
I know there's bats the size of people.
Bats the size of people?
Yeah, they're
Yeah.
like these huge bats, and
Did
it looks like Batman.
Did the drop bear thing get over here? Did you guys hear about
Drop
drop bears?
No.
Yeah, they're just bears that they just like koalas.
Oh,
They-
yeah. That
they
just
sit
dropped
in-
from the sky? Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, well,
Mhm.
they sit in the tree branches
Mhm.
and
Stop.
they'll just fall. They'll just fall on people.
Mm.
They've killed dozens and dozens and dozens, hundreds of thousands and dozens of people,
Billions.
and it's crazy. That's actually what you have to be more careful of than big spiders. Is the drop bears?
I've heard koalas are actually mean, though. Like,
They can be, yeah.
They
Their
can be
growl
pretty
is
rowdy.
actually, everyone Google koala growl, because you won't believe that this comes out
We
of a
actually
koala.
have one.
We went
actually have
hiking one time. Well, it was
We
like a
have one in
little
the end of
trail.
one of our songs. I don't know if we're going to put it out, but
a koala growl.
yeah,
Yeah,
it's
they're
really
frightening.
scary.
They sound like so demonic. But we were walking our dogs. There was like this nice trail we used to
Mm.
go to, and we heard it. And he starts running, and then I'm like, I don't want to be by
I
myself.
was terrified.
So I'm running, and he's like, "What was that? What was that?" I'm like, "I think it was a koala." And he's like, "Oh." I'm like, "Were you
I'm-
scared?"
Yes, because I just heard this. Like,
He was trying to play
really.
it off. He's trying to be
I
cool
was
now, but
no.
you were scared.
I was terrified. I nearly wet my pants.
Yeah, they
out of
sound
fear.
like terrifying. If you didn't know
Like
what it
demons,
was,
Like,
yeah, it's just
Yeah.
really. You wouldn't picture it coming out of a koala bear, and it made me think of like when people back in the day would go out, kind of like looking at new land. They're
Mhm.
haven't been there before. They're just kind of checking it out and hearing that. They would not picture a koala doing that. I
Yeah.
could just
Yeah.
only imagine.
Kangaroos are even pretty scary.
oh, yeah. I would not want to come across
We used to
kangaroo.
like run into them a lot when we would walk
They're
our
okay, you
dogs
just leave
along
them
that
alone.
same trail.
Yeah. Like, I'm afraid of
And-
deer. I don't want to.
Yeah, right.
If a deer
Well-
crosses my path, I'm like, oh, God, this is the end.
Yeah.
I don't want to imagine running into a
Yeah,
kangaroo.
you see them, you're like, stay.
Mm-hmm.
Wait till I drive past
I need
you.
to be honest. I lied about the drop bears thing. It's not a real thing.
Oh.
It is
Maybe
a-
I gave
is
it
a
away when I
thing.
said billions of people have died.
Yeah,
Yeah.
It's. I felt
Hundreds
bad.
of thousands of
I
dozens.
really
of
wanted to
billions.
stick to. I really wanted to stick to the bit about that because that is a thing to like tell foreigners about, but I just couldn't do it to you.
Yeah.
I felt bad for lying to you.
Well, I appreciate your eventual honesty.
Yeah.
I do have a question though. What is a platypus and where did it come from? Because like I don't understand.
Platypus is a marsupial
Yeah, but like
Mammal.
how did it happen?
mammal. Marsupial.
With the duck bill?
I don't even
and
know.
I
then-
don't know.
The-
I think God wanted a big, long, hairy duck with a big bill.
Mhm,
I mean, it like
And-
looks a little bit like a pancake.
mhm. But
Yeah,
it's
So when
also a little bit of a beaver. Like
Yeah, they're really
it's
cute.
a beaver with
actually.
a big duck's bill.
I remember
Yeah,
seeing
I
one
don't-
as a
do
kid,
you know what?
and I
I
got
don't
so
know.
excited.
All I know is it's on our 20-cent piece.
Mhm.
That's
Well,
as much as I know about the platypus.
And I'm pretty sure we're the only country on earth that can kill the animals that are on the
We
emblem.
eat them.
you eat platypi.
No,
Oh.
the animals on our like
I
national.
mean, I haven't,
emblem
but
is
I'm sure
like
there's
a-
people that have.
I'm sure people eat them.
Savages.
But on our like national emblem is like a koala and an emu because those two animals can't take steps backward. They can only move
Mhm.
forward.
Right.
Oh,
We eat them.
He was listening in school.
We
like
eat
that.
those animals. I think
Yeah.
we're the only country in the
I've
world that
accidentally run over an emu.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Run over one? Those things are big, aren't they?
Yeah, but it's literally sounded like hitting a balloon. Like I was so scared that
It-
it was gonna like just flip the
I
car.
love-
Just imagine all the feathers going everywhere.
I,
in his
um,
neck.
I love
It's
that
really
animal
bad, but
so much. but
I
that
loved it.
a
I was
stupid
crying, but
emu.
when I think about it now, I'm like, it literally sounded like when you're like hitting a balloon back and forth. It just was like,
that wasn't the kick
And
in
then-
the song we were listening to.
Oh no.
and then its neck just hit the side window, and
It was a
yeah, I
stupid
cried.
emu. Like we were driving back from a show.
Stupid.
It was a stupid emu. We were
It
driving.
was
back
so
from a
majestic
show,
till it wasn't,
and there was one that like was crossing like the highway, and
and
we
I was
saw
driving
one,
fast.
and she was like, "Oh crap, that's an emu," and she let it go, and then there was like, "Oh crap, there's a second one," and he's like going, and then he hesitates, but then he like missed his friend, I guess, so he comes back, and then we hit him with our car, and
He just made
His
it though,
butt
like
his butt hit like
the
the
line.
side of the
Yeah.
car, kind
I
of,
can't
and then his
remember.
head swung around.
Oh.
hit his like
Yeah,
passenger
hit the
window.
passenger window, and we got Kanye West and Jay-Z blaring, and we're just there like,
It was
Let's just move on from this.
right, and like
turn up the music.
I've never like driven in anything like that before, so
No.
I was just like, okay, I can't slam the brake. I'm like, what do I do? I'm like, I'm just gonna hold the steering wheel and hope this car doesn't flip. And it was literally, I literally braced like this, and then we eventually stopped. Except for
Are you
Kanye.
okay? And we just got Kanye and Jay-Z blaring, and we just, dude, that was
So
fun.
now we never play that
That's what
song.
made it funny. Was
Yeah.
the soundtrack, but like it was actually really sad.
And then
Yeah.
I'm like, I have to pull over and inspect the car, but I was kind of fearful that its friend was going to be mad.
So
it was
it's
just going to be
charging
like
after-
charging down
I
the
actually was
street.
terrified. I got out and I looked at it. It wasn't that much damage.
No. But
Actually
yeah.
a lot less than.
And
I actually
apparently
thought
they're
it was
like
gonna
the
be.
hardest to hit, and I hit one. Like kangaroos are always getting hit.
Yeah, watch
like-
out, emus. We went to the Nashville Zoo and we saw them, and I was like, "Oh, they know you're here."
Wait, they were
Breezy."
there?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't see them.
Oh, they
They're terrifying.
knew
birds,
you were
They
there.
saw
actually.
you.
they knew you were there.
You killed our brother.
Yeah.
It's time to pay.
Got Jerry.
Anyway, I don't know.
But yeah, I mean, just back to the platypus thing. I've racked my brain for years about like where they what they evolved from, and I've just landed on they're aliens.
Right.
I mean,
Like-
yeah.
Yeah,
Like to
That's
some
pretty
people,
fair.
we don't exist. So
I've heard that conspiracy theory.
I love it.
actually.
I want to meet them
As a matter
It's
of
true.
fact,
and agree
It's
with
not
them.
a conspiracy theory. It's truth.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's real.
I can back it
I
up.
honestly like my dream is to just stumble across a group of them
Mhm.
and be like, "What are you guys talking about?" And they're like, "Australians don't exist." I'm like,
Oh,
"Yeah, I
wow.
totally agree with you.
yeah,
That's amazing.
yeah, just mess with them.
It's a cool accent. Where'd you get that, Australia?"
Well, I made it up.
Our good friend of the show, Colin from Foxtrot and the Get Down, he hosts on the guest list, and we were engineering an episode for them here, and they brought up like, what's your favorite conspiracy theory, and that was his. I think it was that episode. It might have been another one, but
I'll
like
have to
that
watch it.
Australia doesn't exist.
Yeah, it's really whack. I
Yeah.
don't know
It's amazing.
the things we believe.
Thanks for the crisis, whoever thought that up. Like just the internal crisis.
Mhm.
Do I exist now? Am I even?
Or am I paid by NASA?
What if this is
I'm a
all a
paid actor.
simulation?
Probably.
It could be.
Don't do that to me.
The rabbit hole.
Doot, 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 doot. That's our transition music here.
Where'd that emu come from?
It sounds funny.
So, Godless, the next,
Yes.
the single that's out now.
It is
Single
out.
That is
It's been out a week.
now.
It's out now as of release date.
Yes.
We're recording before the release, but we're releasing this after the release, so it's out
Mhm.
now.
What
It's
is time?
Tell us
It's
a little.
out.
Tell us a little bit about it.
Well, it's from a collection of songs that we started and I guess finished right before we moved here. So in
Actually,
the
we were
last,
still mixing them when we just got here.
Yeah, that's
I remember
true.
that.
So for about the last, I think, maybe 9 months before we got here, we'd started working on like 5 songs with our friends. They just bought a studio that we were already working in, and they took ownership of it. And this guy, our good friend Max, he was like, he listened to a bunch of our stuff, and then he opened a session, and he was just like, all right, I think I know what like you guys actually want to do. So like, let's like work on some stuff if you guys are keen to work with me, and like, let's make this record that you're actually wanting to make. You kind of just need to be, we pretty much needed to be given permission to do certain things that we wanted to do. We just foolishly thought we weren't allowed to, because like, we're a rock band.
Mm-hmm.
And it was so funny, just being like, just do the thing you want to do and like fully commit to it
Mhm.
too. There's like, be
Yeah.
intentional with everything. And it was very like, it was a really good process of like recording. I think one of the most fun times I've had working with a producer, because like we actually have this group of songs that we're like actually happy with.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. We've worked with some things before, and just you get back to master, and you're like, it's kind of like
You
I
still
like
have
the demo
ideas and
better.
stuff. Yeah, you still
Like,
have
I like
ideas.
our demo better, but this was like one of those times where we were just like, oh, awesome. Like,
Yeah, like you feel okay. We've done what we're thinking. You know, it's like one thing to like think of what you're wanting to create to then actually like do it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why like Max was really good, because
Yeah.
I think when he opened one of our sessions and he saw
he saw how
all the-
chaotic it
how
was.
chaotic it was,
Yeah.
and he's like, I think can see what you're trying to do, and I think he said he wanted to like Marie Kondo our sound.
Which
you know that
there was a Netflix show where this lady would
go to people's houses and basically like
tidy. It was called Tidy Up with Marie Kondo.
He'll make them throw out stuff and teach them how to fold things, and like America went crazy for it. I think I
went crazy for it. It was an awesome show.
I don't think I watched an episode, but I knew what he was talking about. I found it hilarious.
I don't know if I watched that one, but I've watched shows like it.
Yeah.
So yeah, he did, and most of it was like, oh yeah, that's what we were trying to do, and I'm like, well, that's when you're working with a good producer, because
they poor guy spent a lot of time listening to our dumb brains blurt out our rubbish out of our mouths. And he's like, I'm getting to know you as people, and I think you want to make this, and you're still making that for some reason. Yeah, and he's like, you guys need to lean into the hip hop, and we were like, okay.
Let's do it.
Thank you for telling us that we're allowed to do that.
Yeah.
So yeah, Godless is sort of like a good transition of stuff that we've put out and what we're kind of like venturing into now, which is probably the stuff you've more heard now, like mainly like the demos or whatever. So we felt it was like a really good sort of transition song because there's still like elements in there where mainly the thing we did the most was kind of the instruments that we play live. We sort of tamed more in the recording and sampled a lot more, but there's still like that rawness to it. There's still like that kind of raw edge to it in purposeful places,
right,
where the song kind of calls for that. So the live drums will kick in where it's like called for, because we always feel like the listening experience and the live experience are like two different experiences, and every artist is different. Some artists want to play exactly the way it is on the record, and like that's totally fine. And but we've always wanted to have the two sort of listening to the live experience. So yeah, I don't think I would have a lot of fun if we tried to do exactly like the recording.
No, you like play choruses and that's about it.
Yeah,
right.
What would I do? I just like maybe sip a cup of tea,
read a book,
and I was like, oh, he screams. That's my cue now. Can you imagine that? That'd be so funny. Just like rolling
that's
up.
Funny.
That's part of the whole shtick.
Yeah, I'm just like
that's kind of funny because I'm pretty much playing guitar in choruses now for live.
Yeah, but you're also singing and like doing a lot of stuff.
Yeah,
but
right. That's true.
But yeah, it was like yeah, it was a fun experience. And they were actually renovating the studio too. And what we actually just made the connection with is like everyone that worked on it was all going through transition. So like they were transitioning into a new life in Australia, running a studio
from the States.
Renovating
they were fleeing COVID from the States, coming to Australia.
We were fleeing back into COVID in Australia. And then we were like transitioning out to America and basically like packing up our lives at the same time. Like we were going through visa stuff, like as we were recording, working around, like we can use this room now because it's not demolished and it's patched in, and it was kind of fun. So yeah, we just kind of made that connection the other day as we were like, oh, everyone was going through, and then our sound was going through like a transition too. It was not a major one actually. It's like a kind of
it's more intentional, I think now.
Bring out the best elements of yourselves and bring those
out. Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
So the live show, the next one is...
Sorry for that awkward pause, everybody.
It's okay.
No, that was amazing. That needs to be like documented. Like 3 Italians had nothing to say.
3 Italians had nothing
for like half a second.
Well, I was just trying to practice the slower speech pattern that we were talking about before, where it's just like, okay, I'm going to pause, I'm going to make sure you're done, and then I'm going to ask the next question. It was intentional. See that? That's what we're going to have
being
people
intentional.
Yeah, being intentional. So the next show, February 7th, New Faces Night at the Basement.
Yes, we're pretty sure.
The OG basement.
Yep, the OG basement, which is always a fun time there. It's like
I've never been, so I'm really excited.
I'm excited.
It's a fun time. Like it looks like a basement, Like it's got like that cool like dive bar basement sensibility. I think that's why it's called the basement. But it's like you can fit a lot of people in that room. It always sounds great. It looks great. And a lot of fun nights there. So tell us about the fun night we're going to have on February 7th.
Okay, so we've been given like 20 minutes, so it's not going to be like a full set. So we've tried to sort of arrange if we could show Fyre Byrd in like 4 songs.
Right.
Like the whole experience, like what that would look like. And I think I think
I
we've
think
done pretty good.
I think
it's
we've
basically
done
just
pretty
in your
good, yeah.
face, no room to breathe, and then we're done. And you're like, oh, okay, cool.
Yeah.
And then at
That
least
was
people wanting more.
Yes.
Yeah.
For the next
Yeah.
show.
Yeah, exactly. And then you can come to the next one,
Yeah.
and hopefully when we play it, we'll have a next one very close by.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, that's basically all we're wanting to do now is release music and play shows.
Yeah.
Like that's the plan for this year.
A long time where we couldn't do that.
Yeah.
So
It was
just like,
nice,
we're
actually.
ready.
Yeah, we were saying the other day, it was kind of nice seeing in our stories again, like, oh, it's footage from a show, and oh, we have a song coming out. It's just like very little things that you kind of get used to, but you know, when you can't do it, you're just sort of like, oh,
yeah.
So yeah, it's kind of nice to do it again.
To be back in the world, back doing what you love.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
No better feeling. And we should also let's just announce it now, June 9th as well.
Yes.
October. You're joining one of our Nash Live lineups.
Yes.
It's gonna be a fun
right.
one.
Thank you for having us.
O'Brien, who's on the show before, alt hip hop, like he's a very experimental artist as well.
Awesome.
Got the Mad Sugars and Floater. So you have some pop punk energy on the lineup as well. It's going to be a fun night at Cobra. June 9th, not June 8th. I was telling the whole lineup it was June 8th for like
June
a month.
9th.
But it's actually the 9th. But we've got other things coming up on the 8th of different months this year. But
Yes.
In 2023.
In 2023.
That's, yes, we're in 2023.
In the year of our Lord, 2023.
He's coming back this year?
I guess. Oh, could be anytime.
All right.
We better shape up.
Cool.
We better shape up or ship out. But so much to come. Really excited that you're back at it, doing what you love. If there's one lesson you've learned in this whole process of, building up Fyre Byrd, coming to America, experiencing everything you have, and now coming to this light at the end of the tunnel, what would it be? What would be the one lesson that you would share to artists going through their own challenges or trying to find their way?
I would say have a good support system.
Mm-hmm.
Not necessarily people that may not fully understand what you're going through, but just know you and love you more than what you do.
Mm-hmm.
And pray a lot. Yeah. That's probably the two things. And get used to being uncomfortable.
Yes.
But in a safe way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Calculated risks.
Calculated uncomfort.
Mm-hmm.
You'll be surprised at how resilient you can be.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, you'll just be tested and tested and tested, and kind of makes you think about, well, what's the person I want to be, character wise.
Yeah.
And how consistent do I want that character to flow? Is it just in the music space, or is it wherever I am?
Yeah.
So yeah,
I think that's something that kind of was made very evident to me, was we care so much about Fyre Byrd, but it's that's not necessarily who we are. It's something we do and something we enjoy expressing ourselves through, but it's your personal relationships are the most important thing.
Because they can love you back.
Yeah.
Music won't
But
love you
it's
back.
so
It's just kind
important.
of an expression.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's definitely important. So yeah, those three things is good support system, people who actually love you for you,
right,
not what you do, and pray. And what was the other thing?
That was three things. You said it, I guess.
And enjoy being in the space of uncomfort in a safe, calculated way.
Mm-hmm. Beautiful, powerful lessons, of course, and I think the support system thing is super important. When I go back home, it's I get to go back and recharge with my support system, up there. And it's it does, it fills your cup and it informs the journey forward. You remember what you're doing it for when you have that exchange of love, of loving energy in your life. And so important for all of you out there, because I think it's really easy for us to define ourselves by what we do. I know I did for years, I still struggle with it sometimes, of getting too far in the weeds of that. But got to remember, it's just one component. Like you said, it's just one component of what makes you you. It's not the whole thing. It's not the whole story.
Yeah.
We all have to get to a point where we want to continue doing what we love for as long as possible, obviously. But you want to get to a point where it could end tomorrow and you'd still be good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you'd have no regrets about it. And it takes time. It takes a lot of self-discovery and a lot of that discomfort to get there.
Yeah.
So congratulations to you both on just taking so many leaps over the past few years, and making those discoveries along the way. And so, but we are coming up on time. Fyre Byrd joining us. This has been a fantastic episode. Wish we had more time, of course, but we got
that extra 23 minutes at the start.
We did. That's true.
That bonus.
That's true. We've got a lot of bonus content. If you want to hear us talk about the post office, let us know.
Oh my gosh.
As a matter of fact, I'm making that the poll on Spotify. Do you want to hear us rant about the post office?
We need more opinions to make sure that we won't.
Yeah.
It's not, before we make a final decision.
You can donate to UMC if you want to hear those post office conversations.
There we go. Yes. Through our fiscal sponsorship, through the Arts and Business Council of Greater Nashville, we can provide you more content like our spirited pre-show rant about the post office.
Exactly.
And more. Donate now at abcnashville.org/donations.umc. I like the traveling music again.
Yeah.
That was great. That was perfect for that live read I just did.
Yeah.
But yeah, seriously, go to abcnashville.org and donate to us.
Yes.
And where can people find you online?
They can find us on Instagram, which is Fyre.Byrd, and the eyes are wise. That makes sense when I say it to you, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Cool. So the eyes are wise. I tried to say that at a show, and then I think I over-explained. And by the time I got to the end, I think I heard someone be like, "Yeah, we got it."
No, that was a really I think that was maybe the really drunk guy that talked to me after. He's
Yeah,
like,
we
the
got
eyes
it.
are wise, so it's FYREBYRD.
It worked,
like,
though,
oh, cool.
Yeah, and I mean, all of our links are on that Instagram
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like Linktree.
account. So
But we're on Instagram the most and TikTok.
yeah.
Spotify.
We're gonna have
and
some merch ready soon as well, which we'll probably
maybe
our
not
plan
this
is
week,
to
but next
drop
week.
something for every release we drop as well. Some kind of new apparel.
Yeah.
You can listen to our music on Spotify or on Apple Music or on Tidal if you use
YouTube.
Tidal. On YouTube. On Spotify, if you ask us for a secret link of stuff we haven't released, you can...
On SoundCloud.
On SoundCloud,
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. Did I say Spotify?
You did.
They're in my brain. They're trying to take over my whole body.
Spotify.
They really want to take over artists. We love them, though.
Yes, of course. Yes, we do. As a matter of fact, we were top 5% most shared podcast across all of Spotify.
Oh,
Yay.
amazing.
So
Hell yeah.
we love Spotify. Don't cancel us, please.
We love it. We love it here.
We were joking on the first episode of the year, me and Scotty Rock, when we recorded up in New York, that this is the year we get canceled somehow. So,
Oh, well, you've had us on, so we've probably offended some.
Yeah.
Maybe the emu community.
Oh, boy.
Once we release that post office rant, let me tell you. It's
Yeah.
over.
And we
It's
did
over
mention
for all of
Kanye,
us.
so who knows?
Oh, true.
Ooh.
You guys listen to Kanye and Jay-Z?
That story was from years ago. I don't know if we've played that song since.
I don't know if
We
you
just-
heard our whole story. We've changed.
Yeah.
Depending
We're
on who we're talking to.
Before we get canceled, this has been the Quinn Spinn.
You know what?
Ends in Quinn,
I'm canceling all of us. End of podcast.
Just cutting into the outro. You know what? No, you're not getting that outro off. I'm getting us
Canceled.
all canceled right now.
We're canceled right now.
That was awesome.
Cool.
I'm so glad that happened.
Okay, wait. Do it. I'll do it. Sorry.
Okay. Are you sure?
Yeah.
Like, this isn't
Sorry.
just a trap to like. Get
No,
me to start
no.
doing it.
No.
I feel
We've
bad
already
now.
been canceled, so it's fine. Do
Yeah.
your outro.
You can't cancel us.
That's true. This has been the Quinn Spinn. 2 ends and Quinn, 2 ends and Spin. You can find us on. I can't do it. I'm ruined. It's over. It's over. Is this the
Where
end?
do we find you on Spotify and everywhere else?
Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Anchor, Stitcher, YouTube, and more. I always wink when I say YouTube. It's kind of weird, but it's just the thing I do. Also, learn more about us on Instagram at Quinn Spinn Official. 2 ends in Quinn, 2 ends in Spin. And Underground Music Collective, our central hub, is your place. There's this train. Okay,
I was wondering. I've never heard that train before.
It
ever.
is so loud out here. I don't know if y'all can hear that.
Shush, Thomas.
We know. You're hauling freight, okay? We get it. You don't have to show off, Thomas. You don't have to show off. What's going on?
Do you know what's on that train?
Uh,
It's just a big box of emus, and they're coming for Breeze.
and this is how we actually get canceled by the email.
They're coming.
It's a big box of emus and drop bears that we actually shipped over here. That's
the
how
rest
we
of
get
the-
cancelled, is we're importing like Australian wildlife.
That are going to just
Whoops.
run in the room and just... like,
Oopsie doopsie.
We're doing an Italian outro.
Yeah, this is the
About
special
6
Italian
outros before the real outro.
This is the best outro in the history of the show.
Yes.
I just need to say, like,
are we
At
not
least we
canceled
got-
anymore?
At least we got all of the where do you find us
Yes.
for both of us.
yeah.
We
Yeah.
got it.
Well, I didn't. I was only about halfway through the spiel. I'm gonna have to start it over.
All right, go.
You finished it winking after YouTube. That's where
Yes.
you were.
Yeah, but then there's the UMC stuff and the Nash Live stuff, and the
UMC,
Revel 9
yeah, I
stuff.
agree.
And yeah, but I mean, no, I'm happy that happened.
You just like copy and paste from another episode. There's two different people sitting here.
This is incredible. Like, how long can we keep this going? I don't know. I don't want to push.
Maybe
too
we
far.
can do that for next time.
Yeah. Just
How far can we just talk?
All right.
Yeah.
If we come back on this
Yeah.
show,
That could be
go
another
through
poll.
for like 6 hours.
well, we can end
Don't
it at
tempt
the
us.
beginning, and then we're fine.
Yeah.
Like if we do all of our outros at the beginning of the episode, I think we'll
strategic
have like
thinking.
a pretty good.
Yeah.
I like it.
The only problem with that is the video is going to run chronologically, so like people will be able to tell if they watch.
No.
No, I just mean like we'll say our goodbyes at the beginning,
Oh,
and then we'll have
and
our
then just do the
conversation.
episode.
Yeah.
Just in case we go off the rails again.
Thanks
for
Like the
having
train
us.
that
We had a really
Thanks
great
so
time.
much for having us.
So yeah, at the beginning.
Anyway, as I was saying earlier, yeah.
Sorry.
I don't know.
We'll stop
Do you-
talking.
Yeah, we'll be quiet.
It's okay. It's okay. This has been the Quinn Spin. 2 N's and Quinn, 2 N's and Spin. You can find us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Anchor, Stitcher, YouTube, and more. Also on Instagram at Quinn Spin Official. You can find us on Facebook and Twitter too. We're still there, just not really as much because who is really these days? Also, undergroundmusiccollective.com is our central hub for all things independent music, creativity, emu invasions, and more. UMC is on all the socials as well. Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, YouTube. Like I said, you can follow the UMC 20 playlist on Spotify, which has 20 fresh tracks every Tuesday, plus the latest episode of whatever this train wreck is from week to week as a bonus track. NashLive.live. We've got, speaking of shows at Cobra, we've got a big one coming up. First one of the year, February 10th. That is a Friday. Chelsea Jett, Rhea Barker, and Arrayas, an all-female lineup of pop, soul, R&B, and more. $10 will get you in. That is, again, Friday, February 10th at 8 p.m. at the Cobra, Nashville. Revel 9's All I've Become. Our closing themes. I'm not editing this. We're almost through it. Revel 9's All I've Become. Our closing theme song. Just like it's our opening theme song, it's going to take us out. Just like it let us in. I'll see you next time. Hey now.